Well, we are well aware of the number of digital tools that we have in our workplace today, and we're talking hardware as well as software. And some of these might be productivity tools, some of them are collaboration tools, many are enterprise-wide and not just standalone tools. So today's employees have to understand not only existing tools, the ones they have to work with day to day, but also have an understanding of digital tools in general in order to more quickly come up to speed on any new tools that come their way. And I say this in general because if you think about it, tools are changing so fast that if you don't understand kind of in general how digital tools work, then when a new one comes along, it's like learning from scratch, right? So you have to understand in general the direction that digital tools are going, what they're trying to accomplish, you know, maybe even different interfaces, so that when you're faced with a new one, your learning curve isn't quite as steep, right? So according to Gartner research, there is a problem with this. 70% of employees have not mastered the skills they need for their jobs today, and 80% of employees do not have the skills needed for their current and future roles, according to Gartner. More than 2/3 of business leaders believe that that if their company does not become significantly digitalized by 2020, it will no longer be competitive. And this was according to Bryant Knopp, Group Vice President of Gartner Research's HR practice.
2020, 2 years from now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get going, guys.
Yes, exactly. So as companies look at what it will take to digitalize or digitize their operations, many HR leaders are seeing this skills gap, and in fact, 64% of managers don't think their employees are able to keep pace with their future skill needs. Now, according to Gartner, the most effective way for HR leaders to help employees keep pace with shifting skills needs is by building connected learners as opposed to continuous learners. So what do we mean by that? I had to learn this myself, and I'm going to give a very stripped down version of my understanding between connected versus continuous. And this is kind of simplistic, but continuous learning, the way I look at it, is simply continuing to upgrade your knowledge. It's largely self-driven. It's kind of solitary. So you might see a need, your own perception, a need for some more knowledge, or maybe your boss tells you, hey, you better learn this new thing. And so you might buy some books, you might watch YouTube, you might go to some webinars, you might enroll for an online course, but it's largely self-driven, right? It's kind of, I need to learn this because somebody told me, so therefore I'm going to do it. And you do this on kind of a continuous basis, but it's largely self-motivated. Connected learning is more about context, the way I think of it. It's a type of learning that integrates personal interest, peer relationships, maybe internships, experiential learning. It's more social, it's more contextual than self-driven. And that's how I see the difference. So if you think about it, you are picking up information or maybe learning from peers, maybe at your company, peers in your industry, it might be industry groups. So it's more about this connected universe within your industry that's both feeding you information and informing you maybe of stuff you need to learn. And of course, at that time, you still may go to webinars, you may do all the usual continuous learning stuff, but rather than being driven just by yourself, it's driven by the community, right? And that's I believe is why they call it connected learning. And some of that information also comes from the community as well.
Gotcha.
So to build connected learners, organizations have to change their employee development. And some of these, the Gartner lists 3 things. The 2 I think are just common sense. First of all, you got to identify what skills your employees need. Second, employee motivation comes into play, and rather than just communicating skills requirements, employees need to understand how they can personally grow by developing the skills the organization needs. And finally, and this is I think where the connected learning comes through, what are your learning solutions? So leading organizations, according to Gartner, are creating experiences to accelerate new skills development. And that I think is where kind of the connectedness come in. It's those experiences which largely are going to be peers, internships, apprenticeships, so forth. So according to Gartner, building connected learners as opposed to continuous learners increases employee skills preparedness by 28% to 39% across all three main areas of employee development. And additionally, employees who are connected learners are 8 times more likely to be high performers. So, there's a lot of information out there on connected learning, continuous learning. I think connected learning is kind of the new buzz term the last, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years. This is kind of come into play more elevated. I think the idea has been around for a while, but I think certainly social media, the internet and all that has kind of brought this more to the fore, because kind of this connected idea is something that not only has to happen physically now, but you can do it virtually.
But I mean, if the Gartner research is accurate, I mean, that's a heck of a ROI. That's a real movement of the needle in terms of the effectiveness of these types of workers versus continuous workers. So I mean, continuous learning. So connected learning really is something that people, if they're not aware of, should probably check it out.
And I think it's, I mean, to be honest, I think, connected learning is probably just another buzz term for what people might be kind of doing on their own, because everybody is connected. So I'm not even sure continuous learning, I mean, to play the devil's advocate, I'm not sure how many people are really doing, quote, continuous learning anymore.
Well, but I mean, I think it's fair to be, for a worker themselves or for a leader, it's fair to ask what type of culture do we have, and what type of culture are we encouraging within ourselves, within our organization. If you find that you're doing more continuous learning, people are kind of siloed in their learning, well, that might be
hey Joe, learn this, and then you walk away and it's up to Joe to go do it.
That's probably not the most effective way to do it. So good stuff there, Derek. All right, thanks.